Welcome to the world of remote viewing. Remote viewing, or RV, is a skill that trains the unconscious mind to acquire knowledge about any person, place, thing, or event in the past, present, or future. RV was developed by the CIA and the United States military by studying how the best natural psychics acquire information. Your instructor throughout the Learn RV course, U.S. Army Intelligence Officer Major Ed Dames, was also the one and only Training and Operations Officer for the Defense Intelligence Agency's RV unit. With over 20 years of experience utilizing RV in top-secret military and private operations, Major Dames has refined remote viewing into a reliable tool that virtually anyone can master. You are about to begin your training from the most elite and effective RV instructor in the world. Hello, and welcome to Learn RV Workshop 1, Introduction to Remote Viewing. Before we begin, you will need several copies of the remote viewing session templates. You may obtain these templates by either of the following methods. First, you can go to www.learnrv.com/templates. The website will allow you to either download the necessary templates to your PC or print them directly from your internet browser. Secondly, if you do not have access to the internet, please refer to the template library booklet included in your Learn RV DVD case. The templates from your booklet can then be manually copied onto regular 8.5 by 11-inch sheets of unlined blank white paper. The type and number of template for each session is shown on the first page of the template library booklet. When setting up templates and executing your RV sessions, it's important that you use a black pen. Using any color other than black may be distracting during your sessions and inhibit accurate results. Please make sure that you are in a quiet working environment that does not contain bright colors, moving objects, or other distractions. Please note that moving objects also include things such as running ceiling fans and washers and dryers. Also, please have your word descriptor list and remote viewing session flowchart booklet available, which is also found on the inside of your Learn RV DVD case. Remote viewing is an amazing skill like none other you have been exposed to before. Let's begin.
Today is the boot camp of remote viewing, just the fundamentals. It's sort of like ice skating. Guess what happens when you get out on the ice the first time, for those of you who have done that? Nobody skates. We all fall on our derrieres, and then we skate. So we're going to give you the opportunity to do that, and we're going to use the mistakes that you make as a jump-off point for learning, to learn all about this. We take the incoming information in a very structured, ordered way, very structured, very rigorous, systematic, exacting way, and we objectify the inbound information as it comes in, bit by bit by bit by bit. When I mean structure, I mean you're going to have a paint-by-number chart, so you'll know what to do next. Like playing the piano. Think of playing the piano. A pianist doesn't stop to contemplate the note that they just played. They move on to the next one. That's key. That's paramount. That's what you'll do too. You'll take inbound information, you'll record it in the form of a word or a sketch, and you'll move on using a flow chart. No thinking aloud. No creativity, no artistic license whatsoever. Robotic. That's what you'll be taught to do today. And it's as easy, believe it or not, as paint by numbers or connect the dots. You just got to know how to do it. Remote viewing is a 3-part process. The first part is setting up the problem. Setting the problem up. We formalize the way we do that. And that the emphasis on setting up the problem is really in level 3 of training, level 3 workshops. There we handle complex problem sets. Not as complex as level 4, but the emphasis nevertheless is on setting a problem up in level 3. The skill itself is the second part, learning how to do this. The third part of remote viewing is data analysis. That's where many of the pitfalls are in our work, as you'll see. But you don't want someone to act as a monitor facilitator while you conduct a remote viewing session. They'll skew the session. They'll get interested in something. They'll telegraph that using body language, can actually influence the student. The students are concerned about maybe, hey, I just nailed this particular target. I described this hidden thing, this remote target, to a T. How do I know that Ed didn't plant those ideas into my head? How do I know Ed didn't do that? Well, that's simple. What we do at the end of day one or the beginning of day two in a professional setting is we'll take a total unknown to me and the student, and we'll use that. Your best friend, let's see, your mother's best friend's location now, freeze frame. The next person that will call you on your cell phone, their location now when we start the session. So I would have to go to the same place the student would have to be to acquire that kind of information. That gets around the question of whether or not I'm implanting ideas into the student's mind. Okay? So that's not going on here today. You have to do all the work yourself. Actually, your unconscious will do most of the work itself, and it's the master problem solver, total master. In the most elegant way, it will come up with an algorithm to solve the problem. What you're learning are the protocols, sort of the syntax and the grammar for how unconscious can effectively communicate accurately information to conscious awareness. So it's difficult to explain to other people how you're getting this information, as you'll see soon. It's better to teach them. So I encourage those of you who leave here to go ahead and teach your loved ones, your friends, anybody who's interested, your children, in learning this, because that improves your own skills to the level that you've been taught. So after these workshops, 1, 2, 3, and 4, teach. Go out and teach somebody how to do it. It's fun. It's exciting. It's a real adventure, as you'll see. Sky's the limit in terms of targets. Is this hard? Nope, it isn't. It's really easy, folks. If somebody told me, if I had never seen someone ice skate before, and someone came up to me with a pair of shoes with a skinny metal blade on it and said, I want you to put these on, and go out there, and you can do all kinds of pirouettes and go really fast and stuff on these skinny little blades on this slippery surface, I'd say, yeah, right. Okay? That's where you're at now. Some of you may have suspected already that we're not going to tell you anything about the target because we're training your unconscious to do all the work. This is called a blind target. Not in the laboratory sense where you have double blinds and all these controls. The teacher, in this case today, knows what the target is. So it's a single blind, not a double blind. Once we designate a target, your unconscious knows exactly what to do. You're the problem. The awake conscious mind is the problem because it's worried. Worried is thinking. It's concerned. Concerned is thinking. Fear of failure, that kind of stuff like that. That's all thinking. Unconscious doesn't have that problem. It's sitting there, right on the target. We're just going to give you the modality, the syntax and grammar for how to communicate that information accurately to conscious awareness without the fear of imagination or overlay doing that. So how do we get that information to you? We just take a set of numbers, a target reference number. That target reference number is also written on the feedback photograph, on the target reference material.
Target reference numbers, or TRNs, are provided as 2 sets of 4-digit numbers for each target given. Target reference numbers are associated with the target by means of a cue. The cue is a formalized and structured means by which the problem or question you are seeking a solution to is written. Cueing a target is covered in detail on Disc 2 of the LearnRV DVD set. For the purposes of this first training disc, all the TRNs and associated cues will point to photographs which you will remote view. Neither you nor the students on the DVD will be shown what the photographs are before executing each of the RV sessions. Those photographs will then be provided as feedback material, so your unconscious will learn from its mistakes to enhance your skill each time you practice. Again, it is critical to your training success that you do not look ahead at the target photographs before completing each session.
We have a really simple, easy format. You might think, well, why did you create this format? We didn't. We watched the way, military intelligence, watched the way that the best natural psychics in the West behaved cognitively and behaviorally when they were on target. And we modeled their behavior. We did not know that this was a teachable skill, that the model could be taught. We didn't know then, but it can, very easily. We modeled their behavior when they were on target. Why didn't we use natural psychics and intelligence? Because they weren't consistent. They did not know when they were on target or off. They did not know when they crossed the line, when imagination grabbed this hypothetical signal associated with the target and ran with it. You're going to know. We standardized the procedure. That makes it easy for you to read your partner's work and for us to read your work, for yours to read ours. Everybody does it the same way, just like in the Army. Name or initials go there, the date and the time in the upper right-hand corner. The target reference numbers that you see here, I'll give those to you. After you write them down on this space, you'll produce over here in this square what we call an ideogram. The ideogram will be produced in about 2 seconds at the most, and I mean 2 seconds. Because that's your body's response autonomically to unconscious signal. In fact, that little squiggle, that primitive squiggle that you're going to produce, and don't worry what it looks like, is actually a sort of a zip file. It's a burst transmission. It represents a gestalt of information. All of the zip files about information contained in your target area are present, not in diagrammatic form, but not even in archetypical form, but in this spontaneous little squiggle. Once those numbers are written and your hand moves over into that box and you produce an ideogram, that starts your session. So, I get these numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Bam. My hand goes over and I produce some line. I keep it in that box as much as possible. Okay, this is my ideogram right here. Don't think about it. Don't care what it means right now. Just do it. You grab, your unconscious needs something to connect your autonomic nervous system to the target. The transducer needs a connection to the pattern of information. That happens to be it. The process whereby you produce this mark happens to be the connection to the target. After you produce this ideogram in that box, proceed immediately down this list right here. Now you might say, well, Ed, doesn't this constrain the process to just these terms? All that this list is to jumpstart this process. All you need to concern yourself with today is this is a touch screen operation. Keep the tip of your pen near each one of those categories. Textures first. And the idea is simply this. You can skim that list of textures if your texture repertoire isn't good and write down the words, the textures that come to mind. Don't worry where they're coming from. You don't know. Whatever texture words come to mind, write them down. Fuzzy, slick, icy, matte, whatever. Write them down. Write those texture words down, okay? If there is a pause of 3 to 4 seconds and you can't find another texture word, or the list after you've gone through all those texture words, if there's a 3 to 4 second pause, move down to the next category, colors. It takes creative imagination about 4 seconds to kick in, and you don't want that happening. You want to end run it. You want to run ahead of creative imagination. Pen next goes into colors. What colors are present associated with the target or the site? Okay. When that list runs out, proceed to the next category, and so on. Smells, tastes, temperatures, sounds. If there's nothing that comes to mind or nothing feels good intuitively on that list, a long dash mark will suffice. And when you first start out like this, you'll have a hard time with it. When you hit that dimension category, this is important. I've subsumed under dimensions densities and motion. Words that describe motion and words that describe density. Hollow, light, thick, rotating, turning, spinning, those kinds of things. Circular. Dimensions are critical to success in our work. Having dimensions, the idea of dimensions, is actually a higher level, means higher level contact than the raw sensory data. At the end of the list is a funny little category, AI, aesthetic impact. How does the site make me feel? If I were really there, and I'm not, and I can't be, but if I were really there, how would I feel? And most importantly, you want to discharge any interest that's building in this site. Because guess what's going to happen by the time you hit AI? Hey, well, if it's blue and it's wet, it must be water, ocean, whatever, right? Those kinds of things. And it could be just that cup right there that's empty. That's blue and it's wet. It's not the ocean. But your mind wants closure. It wants closure. Just put that information down there. Then finally, we want you to move over to this page, again, keeping the pen point near the paper. Never close your eyes when you're working. On this freehand sketch, it is critical to your success in remote viewing session. The way to produce this is to let your hand go over here and pretend like there's a brain in your hand, so to speak. It says 15 seconds because that's usually all that's required for your body to respond to the information it has by virtue of stage 1, the ideogram, and stage 2, all those sensory impressions. Then you go over here and say, well, there's something here, and there's something that goes like this, and there's something there, and there's something there, and that's all. That's what we want in stage 3. Critical, totally critical. Those are archetypes. They're standardized throughout the corpus of human beings. But all I want you to do at this juncture is to learn how to do stage 1, 2, and 3. You see that down at the bottom? It says label key site aspects. These symbols in archetypical form are called site aspects. Your hand can go immediately to the most important one. Place an X on that. And then place an A on the next most important one. Your hand will just go right to the exact one that's X. By convention, we call X the target. And all of those together we call the site. When this is done and your hand doesn't want to do anything else, just write N down here. End the session. Just one more thing. This little thing over here that says AOL with a question mark. AOL is our little code for analytical overlay. Analytical overlay is comprised of two things. In this process, inevitably, really up front and close, in stage 2, you'll probably start to get pictures in your mind's eye. Not everybody, but some of you will have a photographic image of something. The Eiffel Tower, a palm tree, a stove, whatever. That picture will pop up. You need to do something with that if it pops up. You can't pretend it's not there, and you can't edit it out because it will overlay, ergo the term, overlay the flow of data. It's got to go somewhere. If you do get a clear picture of something, it's always trash. A clear picture is always trash. Draw the picture over here or write down the word Eiffel Tower. Just write it down. Stove, Eiffel Tower. I've got colors that are yellow, and I've got textures that are soft. My analytical mind says it's a banana. Write down over here, and off to the right of the page, banana. You can even label it AOL, banana, if you want. If it's just an idea that pops up, a high-level idea, it's also trash at this juncture. If you get the idea of a battle, the idea of a classroom, that's trash. That goes over here too, okay? That goes over there in the trash column.
You're almost ready to begin your first RV session. Before you begin, please take a few minutes and watch a student of Ed Dames execute a sample session. It's very important to note the pace of the session. I will guide you through the sections as the student conducts the session. As with the student you are about to watch, your first RV session should take approximately 3 to 5 minutes. Begin by writing your name, the date, and time. Write down the target reference numbers. Immediately create a spontaneous ideogram as quickly as you can. Refer to your word descriptor list. Start with textures. Write down as many textures that come into your mind from the list. Do not pause for more than 3 seconds. If nothing comes to mind, move on to the next category: colors, smells, tastes, temperatures, and sounds. At any time, if you have an image or an idea pop into your head, such as pine trees, as in the case with this student, it is your imagination driving you away from the target. Write the word down on the right of the template under AOLs and drop your pen for the thought to dissipate. Then pick up your pen and move on. Do not think about the target, but focus only on the next perception to write and move through the templates quickly. You should never stop writing for more than 3 to 4 seconds at a time. Now write down all dimensions, densities, and motions that come to mind, but no less than 4. How does the site make you feel? Look at the word descriptor list and write down only one word to describe your feelings. Turn to the second template to produce your Stage 3 freehand sketch. Without thinking what the target may be, allow your body to draw the key aspects of the site in symbolic form, where you feel they should be on the page. Do not take more than 15 seconds to do this. Finally, place an X next to the aspect that you instinctively feel is the most important in your freehand sketch. Place an A on the next most important, and a B on the third most important aspect. That's it. The session is complete. If you feel the need for any further review before beginning your first session, feel free to re-watch previous sections and also refer to the booklets included in your Learn RV DVD case. You are about to begin your very first RV session. Get your first 2 templates ready, which contain stages 1, 2, and 3, and pick up your black pen. Make sure there are no noises, including music, bright colors, or moving objects around you that may distract you from your session. During your first session, you will be remote viewing right along with the workshop students. You'll hear Ed Dames speaking during your session. He will help you keep pace with the rest of the class by informing you what section you should be on. Remember, do not close your eyes. Look only at your templates and word descriptor list, and keep moving without thinking. Your only focus should be in following the structure and what you are going to do next. This session must not take more than 3 to 5 minutes. As soon as you see Major Dames write down the target reference numbers, you should immediately look at your templates and word descriptor list and begin your RV session. Do not look away from your paper or word descriptor list while you are conducting your session. This includes looking up at your TV screen. Get ready. Major Dames will now give you the first RV target.
Okay, first number, 7598. Second number, 2132. Go. Fast ideogram. Fast. Real fast. Textures. Look at your paper. What textures? What textures are present at the site? Look at that list. Look at the cheat sheet. Keep the pen near the paper. Keep your pen near the paper at all times. Colors. What colors are present at the target? Colors are associated with the site. Don't worry about where these words are coming from. Tastes. What tastes are associated with the site? Temperatures. You should be close to temperatures by this time. Use as many words that apply. Are there any sounds associated with the site? You may hear them, or you may just feel that the word is right. Don't worry about how it comes in. Sounds. And the all-important dimensions. If you're getting AOLs, I talked about, write them down. Dimensions. Use the list. The list here. Go through that list. Pick the ones that feel right. Okay? You're thinking. You're your own worst enemy. You got to get your mind out of the way. It's going to be hard to do at first and frustrating. All the dimension words that apply. No thinking. It's a skill. This is a skill. Aesthetic impact. If you were really at this site, how would you feel? Ask yourself, how does this site make me feel? Look at those words on the list. Now the most important part. As soon as that's done, turn your attention to the next page. "15 seconds. This is your body's rendition of the site. Just do it like a doodle. Go down there and commit to doing it. Whatever your hand wants to do, write it. Do it on that page, that second page." When you're through with that sketch, let your hand point right to the most important aspect and label it with an X and put square brackets around the X. If there's something of secondary importance, that's the next most significant feature, label that with an A. When you're done, write the word "end" at the bottom of the page and end the session.
Congratulations! You should have just completed your first RV session. Now let's see what the target was.
I'm going to give you the feedback, and I'm going to put the view graph up here first, and then we'll talk about what we're doing here so you can understand the process. This will be your first opportunity for any understanding. I understand that. Okay? We ready? All right. The site is a photograph of the Grand Tetons, like that. Okay? So there's a prominent feature in the foreground, and there's a prominent feature in the back. If your X is on any peaked structures, raise your hand. If there's X in your stage 3, in your freehand sketch, on anything that has a peak in it, like this, raise your hand. Those should appear as pointed things, archetypically. What do I mean about archetypically? There's two pointed things in there. One is man-made and one is the mountains. These are archetypes. A mountain and a mountain range will be the same archetype. Because to the unconscious mind, it's the same thing. A mountain and the mountain range are the same mold. They're the same pattern. So what we would expect to see with a professional session here, what we'd see at this juncture as a professional in our first stage 3 sketch, folks, is this. That's about it. On a professional session. You want to see some professional sessions of final product, they don't look like that. They look pretty darn neat. Okay, but that's all that we see is pointed things like this. But those are significant. Those are the zip files that we need to break out. Archetypically, what we'll see on your paper once you get this process down is pointed things that look like the mountain range, a pointed thing here, and also a right angle. A right angle will be present in your stage 3 sketch. The right angles, man-made structures, whether they're tables or chairs or buildings, have these right angles, and they pop up as just a right angle, just like that. We'll see that in the sketch. We may see a long flat line that represents land. That's an archetype for land. All right, and we may see a wavy line up here, which is moist, the clouds, a river in the sky. You may see a wavy line up higher. What is the target, though? I called this the target itself. Let's say you did not have this picture. The target is the Grand Tetons. It's the mountains. X should be on the mountains once you get this process down. The X will be on the mountains, not on that structure in the foreground. At this juncture, I do not want you to worry about what that ideogram looks like, that scribble, and nor do I want you to worry about what the stage 3 sketch looks like. All we're doing here is familiarizing ourselves with the format. I'm not looking for right or wrong. All this stuff will iron out. Take my word for it. No uncertain terms. Right now, we just want you to get familiar with this structure. This is how we start digging the hole and laying the foundation. We're not even close to detail work yet. Over time, what can you expect as a percentage of hit rate? 80% will be correct. It'll appertain to the target. You'll get the cold and the icy and the slick and the high and those kinds of things. You'll have a running 20% error rate. Is 80% enough for us to solve a problem on our own? Yeah, it is most of the time. For a trained viewer. You guys aren't trained yet.
At this time, take at least a 15-minute break to prepare for the second session. Ed will introduce the concept of performing a movement on key aspects from a freehand sketch, and you will also be introduced to making analytical sketches. Both of these will be used in the next target when you return.
Some of you are having difficulty and your mind's in the way and you're fighting yourself. One of the best methods, and I'm not kidding about this, I was talking to a gentleman back here about it. If you're really fighting with yourself and you just feel like this is going nowhere, adopt the attitude of screw it. Just screw it. Honestly, I don't, whatever you want, Ed, whatever. Just put, pink, chartreuse, whatever. Okay, this looks good too. This looks good. When you adopt that attitude, you haven't invested any energy into being right or wrong. Right? That's when your mind's out of the way and where you succeed. No kidding. Do that. Try that. If you're having a hard time, it works. Works like a charm. Because your unconscious is in control then. It's already trying to maintain control, but you become your worst enemy in this process here. This really isn't hard, but because it's new, it is. It's frustrating and hard. 20 years ago, I can still remember how I felt. Man. So I can empathize. Others of you know you're doing well. I mean, you already know you're doing well and you're on to something. You can see the story. I've taught many scientists, engineers, some of the world's best physicians and teaching psychologists. They know, wow, there's something to this. And they see it really fast. Some of you are already there. Now, there's a new page. We call this statement here a prompt. Read the following prompt. In this case, that blank is X. We want to explore whatever you label as X. The key aspect in your first freehand sketch, that first stage 3, whatever you label as the most important thing is X. So you fill that blank in there, stage 1, a stage 1 of X, and you do this. You read that per the instructions. From the top of X, something should be perceivable. Bam. You produce a new ideogram in that box. But this ideogram will appertain only to X and not to the whole site in general, just to X. So we're going from the gross to the general now, not to the specific and the detailed yet. But we're moving down to the way we layer an oil painting. Think about painting an oil painting, layer upon layer upon layer. You can't do the details until you lay down that matte and then the gross colors and then the details, okay? That's what we're doing. We're breaking out each one of these zip files and we're breaking them out in order, stage by stage by stage, from the gross to the general to the specific to the detailed. This is the general now. We're breaking this out. From the top of X, something should be perceivable. Why do we read those funny words out? I'll tell you why. It takes unconscious about 3 seconds to shift, completely shift to a new sight aspect. Right now, by virtue of having drawn all the key aspects at the site in your stage 3, it's all over, spread out at the site, figuratively speaking. But now you're asking it to turn its attention to only one aspect, to focus in on that microscopically. It takes about 3 seconds to make that shift, and by reading that from the top of X, something should be perceivable, will do it for you. That way you can ensure that all the subsequent data will be of only X and not of A or B or whatever else you labeled. From the top of X, something should be perceivable. Bam! A new ideogram. Don't worry about the way it looked. Okay? And a new set of stage 2s. Go back to your cheat sheet, to your training wheels. Get some more textures and colors, smells, tastes, temperatures, sounds, and dimensions. This time, those will appertain only to X. Okay? And then you're going to produce one more sketch. This will be of X too, but this one will be different than the other sketch. This will not be a freehand, spontaneous, archetypical sketch. This one will be what we call an analytical sketch. It will use all of the dimensions that you required right there. The dimensions of X, the stage 2s of X, when you hit the dimension list, we're going to use those dimensions to construct this sketch. We're going to render each one of the words as a line drawing. So if you put down a word of long, you must sketch a line that's long. If you put down a word of angular, you must sketch an angle. Circular, same thing. How do the dimensions fit together? How do they come together? If you've got a word of pointed and a word of oval and a word of flat and low, what does that look like in your analytical sketch? Don't arbitrarily separate the low and the oval and the pointed and stick them disconcatenated from each other. They're probably the same thing. If this is my target through a lens darkly, I've got something that's round and something that's hollow and something that's tall, right? And how does that come together in the sketch? Do I want to separate the round and even change the perspective or whatever? Or do I want to put them together so it looks something like that cup? Only the viewer can do that.
Like with the previous session, you will begin using templates A and B, which contain stages 1, 2, and 3 of the site. However, for this next target, you will add template C, which explores stages 1, 2, and 3 of aspect X. This will be a new step in your RV session and provide additional details regarding the target. As each key aspect in the freehand sketch is explored, template C is employed to obtain details about that aspect. For this next target, only one C template will be used, since only one aspect is being further explored, which in this case will be aspect X. Before you begin target 2, please take a few minutes and watch a student of Ed Dames execute a sample session using template C. To explore aspect X using template C, first perform a movement on the aspect. In this case, you will read silently or out loud the following. From the top of aspect X, something should be perceivable. Then produce an ideogram and continue. While you are writing down sensory information for aspect X, make sure you always identify and dissipate any AOLs that may come to mind during your session. It is critical when exploring key aspects that you focus on providing as many dimensions, which include densities and motions, as are present for that aspect, but no less than 4. After identifying and writing down your aesthetic impact, which is how you would feel if you were present at the site, it's time to create an analytical sketch. This is different from the initial freehand sketch of the site when your body symbolically drew the aspects of the site. A Stage 3 analytical sketch is constructed by creating a line drawing of each of the dimension words you obtained from Stage 2 of X. Note how the student refers back to the Stage 2 dimension words to render each one into a line drawing, determining their appropriate position in the analytical sketch by feel. Dimension words that represent motion should have arrows on them in your analytical sketch. Only after each dimension word has been drawn on the Stage 3 analytical sketch are you able to add additional archetypes to the sketch if you feel they are present. You are now ready to begin Target 2. This target will require the first 3 RV templates labeled A, B, and C. For this target, Ed Dames will not be walking you through the session. This will allow you to focus on the protocol without distraction. Therefore, it will now be up to you to keep the proper pace. Focus on gathering and writing down your perceptions quickly. Keep moving with your eyes on the paper and stay in structure. In just a few moments, you will see Ed Dames provide the target reference numbers for Target 2. At that time, you must pause your DVD player while the target reference numbers are being displayed on the screen and immediately begin your session. This session should take approximately 10 minutes to complete.
I'm going to read the target reference numbers. 15882624.
Let's continue. Please have your second completed session in front of you before you watch the target feedback. If you did not yet remote view the second target, stop here, go back, and do it now before proceeding.
So what we want is simply archetypes here. The entire site, here's a target. The target is the Statue of Liberty. I assigned it those target reference numbers, which you had as a cutout pointer. It points to this. There's the target, but the target, that's meaning, and the meaning needs context. This whole thing is the site. All right? The whole thing is the site. Your X should have been on some thing right there in some form on your page. You should have some dimensions that would be something like tall, high, solid, or whatever. You may also have some interesting sketches, too. A couple of people got stars. The hat that the statue is wearing is star-shaped, so that will come out, too. But we want structural elements like the right angles that are in the base, and we want something that's tall. I don't care if it's even a straight line up, that's fine. But those words, those dimensioned words are critical. We need to see tall, vertical, solid. So ask yourself, the next time you run dimensions, the next time you're interrogating yourself, it's through a lens darkly. We don't have any visuals. Ask yourself, what's around me at the site or at the target X? What is there? Is there anything that's vertical? If it is vertical, is it high and tall? Is it low and squat and medium? Is this place open, closed, wide, long, tubular, hollow, heavy? Is there motion at the site? Those kinds of things. All the words are on that list there too. This process will bootstrap itself. I'm actually talking to your unconscious because I know this is going to work itself out. You'll be dragged kicking and screaming, the egoic mind, but this will work very fast. Why? Because it's a natural process. We know that it'll work. Very, very natural. It's hard for you to understand it, but the process is natural, and it'll pop right in. There's two things I learned from this business. One thing I learned really fast was you can never look at the world the same way again after you learn remote viewing, because you know that you can know anything. Work, yeah, but you can know anything accurately. And number two, how totally fallible the thinking process is in our lives. Countless sessions that I have done where I know what this is and come up with something completely different that's truth instead of what I thought. Because there's no thinking involved. It's just, hey, take it or leave it, like it or not. This is what the answer to that question is, whether it's a murder mystery or whatever. You may not like the answer, but it's going to be right. And your fears aren't going to be in the way, and your biases aren't going to be in the way, and your preconceived notions about what you think the world is like isn't going to be in the way. Just the facts. That's why I like this process.
Pause your DVD player and take another 15-minute break. When you return, Ed will introduce the Stage 4 template, which will be used in your next RV session.
There are only so many things that we can know about a target by the time we get to the first stage 3 sketch. The first stage 3 sketch is the freehand sketch. The most that we can know about a site, the most, if you think you know anything more than the following, you're dead wrong. Most that we can know is we can tell by looking at our archetypes that are present in this sketch. We can tell if we have a circular feature, a golf ball, a planet, a microbe, or something else like that, or a life form. Life forms, living things, hippopotami, people, elephants, are also circles spontaneously produced in the first stage 3 sketch. Also circular things are as well. When this appears looking any way, or this, something like that with right angles are always structure. They're always structure. Only in a couple of instances in nature, in the natural world, do you have a right angle that's not a structure, a man-made structure. By structure, we mean anything man-made. An automobile, a table, a house, a casino, whatever. That's going to appear as an archetype. If we have a mountain or a mountain range, we will have something like that in the stage 3 sketch, a pointed object. But we'll also get that for a tower and a number of other things too. However, once you're immersed in this skill for a while, you'll know whether or not you're dealing with a mountain or a mountain range or just something pointed that's man-made. We'll always know, almost always, if we have land. Sometimes that's a surface, water or something else like that, but generally the viewer will know that that straight line is land in the stage 3 sketch. We will always know this. We'll always know if there's motion at the site. Always. We'll find our hand, do that, put an arrowhead on the direction of motion. Very important. Is something actually round, or is it going around? Is it moving around circularly like that? The viewer should know that. I want you to start trying to perceive that. Sometimes we can get some real insight in our work into a problem and its solution just in stage 3. Remember I said the answer to the problem is always somewhere symbolically in the first stage 3 sketch. So let's say that the viewer does this with a long sweeping line that moves from the bottom up. Might not mean anything unless, for instance, it's TWA flight 800 / explosion / cause. Now, if the viewer puts an X on that motion line, that's the target, which is the cause. So whatever made that line up is the cause. So it's something going from the bottom up, right, hypothetically. So that picture is worth a lot of words, and we can know something early about a problem. Last time, we asked you to explore aspect X, which by definition is the target, the most important aspect at the site. We asked you to produce another ideogram. From the top of X, something should be perceivable. New set of stage 2s, textures, colors, smells, tastes, temperatures, etc. associated with X, especially dimensions. Guys, this time, do not mess this up. You've got to fill that list up. And then an analytical sketch, which we're really going to be checking this time, of X. All right? And then we asked you, that was it. We stopped right there. Now we're going to do the same thing, and then we're going to go into stage 4 of X. Into stage 4 of X. After we complete stage 4 of X, we're going to turn our attention to aspect A at your site. And we're going to do the same thing again. After we complete an analytical sketch, your first one will be X, an analytical sketch of X, which is a diagram of X, that's all, a schematic diagram. We move into the stage 4 of X. Stages, stage 1, 2, 3. Here's 4, our last stage that we have to worry about. Stage 4 has 8 columns. The way that we fill in the blanks here, and you're not going to be using all the columns this time. The way that we use stage 4 is the following. You place your pen in the S column, sensory. Place your pen there, your pen point. In stage 4, it's still sensory data, the 5 senses, tactile, etc., but in any order. This time, sounds can come first, textures can come second. It doesn't matter, as long as it's sensory information. Don't use the list, the stage 2 list for stage 4. Don't use it. After, you'll get a couple of sensory impressions or not. Then, move your pen down the column and over. From down and over to the D column, dimensions. You're interrogating your brain, saying what dimensions are associated, in this case, with X. After you're getting no dimensions, all right, go down again and over to that column, AI. What are your emotions? If there's a significant change in your emotional state, the way that you feel about, in this case, X, the first one. If there's like all of a sudden you're feeling nauseous or happy or joyful or whatever, that goes in that column. How do you feel? Aesthetic impact right there. Put a word there. Pause for a moment. Go down again and over. EI, emotions. EI stands for emotional impact. What are the emotions present associated with X, if any? If X is a stone, it's not going to have any emotions. But if X is a person or people or a group of people, they'll have emotions. Do not go into the T column. Do not do that this time. Do not go into that column, the I column. Stay away from those two columns. They're fraught with danger at your level. Okay? AOL has a column all its own. Don't worry about the last column either. We're not going to deal with that this session. They're too high level, way high level. AOL, knock yourself out. If you're getting stuff that you do not trust, stick it in the AOL column.
Before you begin Target 3, please take a few minutes and watch a student of Ed Dames demonstrate the proper manner to gather and fill out Stage 4 information using Template D. During this sample session, the student has already completed the RV session up through the analytical sketch and will now demonstrate the proper pace and structure for utilizing the Stage 4 template. We will only focus on filling out the first 4 columns of the Stage 4 template and identifying AOLs whenever they arise. All sensory data, except dimensional information, should be placed into the first column under S. Dimensional information should be placed under the D column. Your feelings and those present at the site should be placed under the AI and EI columns respectively. For now, ignore the tangible, intangible, and the AOL/S columns, as these are designated for more advanced students and are reviewed on the other Learn RV DVD workshops. The information should be spontaneous. It is helpful not to use the word descriptor list here, as it slows you down. Stop when you reach the 2/3 mark on your template, as this student has. When filling out a Stage 4 template, you should not follow the order provided by the word descriptor list, as you do when you are in Stage 2, but write down the information in the order that the data comes to you. You are now ready to begin Target 3. In this session, you will create an S3 freehand sketch of the site, labeling the key aspects. You will then explore Aspect X and Aspect A through Stage 4 of each. This target requires that you have templates A and B, followed by 2 sets of templates C and D. The order of your templates should be A, B, C, D, C, D. Label the first CD set for Aspect X, and label the second CD set for Aspect A. In just a few moments, you will see Ed Dames provide the target reference numbers for Target 3. At that time, you must pause your DVD player while the target reference numbers are displayed on the screen, and immediately begin your session. This session should take approximately 25 minutes to complete.
First target reference number, 1814. Next, 6888.
Let's continue. Please have your third completed session in front of you before you watch the target feedback. If you did not yet remote view the third target, stop here, go back, and do it now before proceeding.
AIs. How did you guys feel vis-a-vis the site? Your 2 stage 4 pages, X and A. Look at your AIs. Awe. Anybody else get awe? Yeah. Okay, so we have some awe. The EI should be common to all the viewers who know what they're doing and doing this the right way. You should all get generally the same EIs for the same site. Let's try it and see what happens. EIs, emotional impact. What were the emotions present at X and A? Look at your stage 4s only. Okay, so we got anxious, nervous. How many people got nervous? Oh. Okay, did you hear what she said? Wee, like that. Any more emotions present at the site? Yes, sir, in the back. Overwhelmed. Anybody else get overwhelmed? Frightened. Anybody get that as an AI or an EI? AI. Fear. AI is fear. Very cautious. And cautious? Cautious, yours or theirs?
AI. As an EI, how do you handle vacant?
First of all, did we have any motion? Anybody pick up motion, movement? So he's looking down, and it's going like this. Other motions. Who else got other types of motion? Yes, sir.
I got circling upward.
Circling up. Circling up. Okay, anybody? Sweeping up. So it's motion, a wavy up. Anybody else get a wavy up? Okay, a wavy up, a wavy up, a wavy up. Are we dealing with a single item or just a place? Or in fact, what's the nature of this? Is it a person, place, thing, or an event, or a combination? Yes? What did the objects look like in your analytical sketches? Like a ship in what regard?
That was the top of my head.
Okay, so it's kind of a container type of thing. Is that if that's all you got? What else did people get? He's got a bunch of small circles in there like that. Generally speaking, those are either the circular or spherical things, or they're life forms. Let's say they're life forms. Why is that a good guess? Why is that a good guess that they're life forms? God, I'll tell you what, you're not going to get... Are those emotions pigs, sheep, elephants, or what? They're people. Those are high-level emotions. Animals don't have emotions that high level. Those are people. So these are probably what? How many?
A crowd.
A crowd. What kinds of situations would associate with these?
A circus with a carousel.
Okay, a circus and a carousel. Roller coaster. All right. Anything else? A waterfall. A swimming pool. What? Like?
A waterfall in nature
Okay? Anything else? Last one. All right? Does a circus with a carousel, is that supported by, although we didn't get that much data because you're newbies, is the idea of a circus and the carousel supported with those Ds, AIs, EIs, and stuff? Is it yes or no? No. They don't like it, sorry. Is the idea of a roller coaster supported by that data? We leave that. Okay, is a waterfall supported by that? Do we leave that postulate up there? Does a waterfall go like this, spinning down clockwise and wavy up? Okay, well, we'll leave it there. We'll leave it there for now. Roller coaster, waterfall, and a balloon and stadium. Are we sure that that list stands? What we'd have to do is go back in and use other techniques and methods. It wouldn't take long to remote view this. I mean, it really doesn't take long at all, folks. This is quite easy to teach, quite easy to learn, and quite easy to do. It wouldn't take us but 10 more minutes, especially as a group, for you guys to go back in and get enough information to, by process of elimination, eliminate 2 of those 3. It's that easy to do. Let's really go back in now with some precision. Okay, balloon and the stadium. Caution, fear, overwhelm, happy, anxious, nervous, clanging, spinning down clockwise and wavy up. The spinning down clockwise, what kinds of speeds? Fast, slow, medium? Fast. Folks, we don't have a balloon unless the balloon's coming down out of the air and then it just plummets and you don't have those emotions. You have other emotions too. Horror, that kind of stuff. Bye. Bye-bye. Okay? Waterfall and roller coaster. This is the highest roller coaster in the world. It's on the stratosphere here in Vegas. Happy? That's on top of the stratosphere. It's called the high roller coaster. But that's not the target, guys. The target is the riders. So the roller coaster itself and the thing that they're in becomes context. The people are the target. Which people? Those people at that time. Right there. This is not a complete session. This is not a complete remote viewing session, so you wouldn't normally be able to discern what you've got using here because we stopped the session prematurely. We did only when you go to the idea template, which we're about to do, only then will all the pieces be fit together correctly. This, what you've been left with in this session is only part of a blueprint out of context, right? We're not going to do that anymore. We're going to complete the sessions from this point on. Okay, now, what do I mean by, and some of you actually said roller coaster back there, I could see this, you're on target. What do I mean about completing the session? Before you take a break, watch this. This is what I mean. Let's say that my blind target is a windmill in Holland. Well, my first freehand sketch may look something like this, where there's motion there, and there's something there, and there's something there. And I know, as an experienced professional, that's probably land, that's definitely a structure of some type, and that's definitely motion. I have 3 archetypes in my first stage 3 sketch. Okay? Now I'm going to say, well, I think this is X. It's the most important thing. This is A, and this is B. I'm going to explore the land too because I want more information, more detail. So as I go through my session, I explore X. From the top of X, something should be perceivable, blah, 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 blah. I take my dimensions, which are spinning, high, above, broad, and flat, and I turn that into a sketch. And I want to do this, and then I want to do this. Okay, and that's what I do, and then I decide spontaneously that I want to add that. And that I'm finished, and this is my S3 analytical sketch of X. If I have that as my first stage 3 sketch, and I have this as my analytical sketch of X, why should I go any further? I know what that is. It's obviously a propeller. Obviously a propeller. So why should I have to spend the time to do this? My target, if it's a propeller and it's in the air, my target is obviously an airplane. See what I mean? That's why you got to go all the way. Because what you've done is you've aborted the strategy that your own unconscious had to solve this problem. Because you're going to miss that if you don't. But I stopped short and I interpreted that as an airplane. You have to explore all the elements and put the pieces back together before you really can solve the problem. It's essential.
Pause your DVD player and take another 15-minute break. When you return, Ed will introduce the site template.
In this exercise, we're going to create a site template. This will require you to explore aspect X, A, and B. X, A, and B. X will be the most important aspect of your site. B will be, A will be the next most important one. B will be the next most important one. When we put together a site template, and again, I don't want you to use the T and the I columns on stage 4, so don't worry about those. The site template is kind of the jigsaw puzzle with all the pieces snapped together, allegorically speaking. The puzzle pieces will overlay and snap together and look like something. What they'll look like is a wiring diagram, a schematic diagram, and that diagram will contain in it, in symbolic form, just like a blueprint, all the essential elements of information about the problem and its solution, all in that diagram. That's what that diagram is and why it's so important in diagrammatic form. We can do a lot of things after the site template, but usually the site template is enough to solve problems. What's broken on your car? Where's the hydrogen leak on the space shuttle? Where's the air leak on Biosphere 2? Pretty easy to solve things like that in a site template. And that's what we use it for, problem solving of that nature. The way we construct it is the following way. You explore aspect X, A, and B in order, the same way you've been doing. Then after you've finished exploration of B, which will be a stage 4 of B, gather up your 3 analytical sketches. The analytical sketch of X, the analytical sketch of A, and the analytical sketch of B. Put them in front of you on the table. And look for common elements in those sketches. When you find common elements, let's say 2 circular features that look the same, they are probably the same thing. And you redraw them in the site template. Redraw that site template with the 2 elements connected together. But you can't change the juxtaposition and the relative positions, the relationships of any of the elements in your analytical sketches. Essentially, you're redrawing all the analytical sketches, and you may only change the scale. You can make them larger or smaller, and you decide how they snap in to the site template. You decide where they go, how they're rearranged. Is that clear? Think of a jigsaw puzzle. Those 3 analytical sketches all come together in one page now, called the site template. here's the S3 of X, let's say. Okay. And here's an S3 of A, let's say. Let's say that those are the only 2 pages I have to make up my site template. Site template. These elements have to come together in a single sketch. What common elements do I have here? I have a right angle and a right angle here. They're oriented the same way. Okay? Are those the same thing, or are they 2 separate things? I, the viewer, have to decide whether they are or not. If they're 2 separate things, is this circle the same thing, or are those 2 separate things? I decide that, well, it goes together like this over here, that they are separate things. And this I want to put over here and make it small. And this I want to put over here. Oh no, I see. They are the same thing. I'm going to put this outside, and then these wavy lines get reproduced in the same relative positions, like that. And that becomes my site template. Now, in these site templates, you can't rotate any of these to fit. You may not rotate or turn either. You can only change the scale, the size. That's it. And you have to include every element. You can't leave anything out, and you can't add anything. When you're finished with the site template, look down at the bottom of the page that says site template and follow those instructions, please. And then end the session.
Before you begin Target 4, please take a few minutes and watch a student of Ed Dames provide an example of how to combine analytical sketches to form a site template using Template E. The site template should be started immediately after you have finished Stage 4 of the last aspect on your freehand sketch. Start the construction of the site template by gathering each of your Stage 3 analytical sketches along with their matching Stage 4 data and place them on the table in front of you. It is your task to combine each of the analytical sketches into the site template. You are not allowed to change, omit, nor rotate any of the analytical sketches as you copy them into the site template. You are, however, permitted and expected to change their relative sizes and positions as you feel they should be combined. After you have combined all of the analytical sketches into the site template, you will then copy each of the AIs, EIs, Ts, and Is to the site template where they belong. In this introductory DVD, you will not be exploring tangibles and intangibles. Therefore, there will not be any T's nor I's to copy. When you are finished, write END and the current time on the clock at the bottom of the site template. You are now ready to begin Target 4. You will create an S3 freehand sketch, exploring the first 3 key aspects, which are X, A, and B. You will then combine their analytical sketches into a site template. This target requires that you have templates A, B, 3 sets of templates C and D, along with template E. You can pre-number the 9 pages. The order of your template should be A, B, CD, 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 E. Label the first CD set for aspect X, the second CD set for aspect A, and the third CD set for aspect B. This session should take approximately 45 minutes to complete. Those that may require a break before finishing the entire session should do so only after finishing Stage 4 of Aspect A, which is page 6. You will then resume your session by performing a movement on Aspect B on page 7 of your template sequence. In just a few moments, you will see Ed Dames provide the target reference numbers for Target 4. At that time, you must pause your DVD player while the target reference numbers are displayed on the screen and immediately begin your session.
Here we go. 5282 6407.
Let's continue. Please have your 4th completed session in front of you before you watch the target feedback. If you did not yet remote view the 4th target, stop here, go back and do it now before proceeding.
Let's take a look at this feedback. This is Mount St. Helens, and this is during the eruption. This is the target is the eruption. The target is the eruption. That particular event, Mount St. Helens, is context. So those of you who drew those nice mountains, and there are many of you here, with the AIs of fear and those kind of things, did a good job there. But what I would like also is the right sensory impressions here. I would like the right smells and the ideas of acidic and smoky and that kind, and choking and those kind of things also. Yeah, chemical as a smell, chemical as a taste.
You have completed Disc 1 of the Learn RV training course with Major Ed Dames. Throughout this DVD, we introduce the format and structure of remote viewing. You learned that remote viewing consists of 3 main concepts: formulating the question or cue, the skill of RV itself, and data analysis. You learned how to approach blind targets by assigning target reference numbers or TRNs. You learn to identify each key aspect in your freehand sketch in the order of their importance and explore each one systematically. As you explored each key aspect, you learned how to create an analytical sketch of each and combine those to form a site template. Now that you're familiar with basics of the remote viewing protocol, you should practice by doing at least 1 target a day for at least 7 days before proceeding to Disc 2 of this training course. While conducting practice sessions, it is important to stay in structure as taught during this DVD. Also remember the pace at which you are to execute your targets. To set up a practice target, have a friend or family member cut out a random photograph from a magazine or newspaper, one of which you have never seen before. Have this individual write 2 random sets of 4-digit numbers above the photo with a permanent black pen or marker, thereby assigning the target reference numbers to the target. Finally, have this individual place the photo in an envelope, providing you with only the target reference numbers they assigned. Remember to not look at the photo until you complete your practice RV session. In the next Learn RV disc, you will learn how to properly cue a target and to formulate your own questions utilizing proper search terms. It will also cover how to objectify tangibles and intangibles, as well as continue to solidify your basic RV abilities.